Okay guys, welcome. Welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. I hope you're all doing well. This, you've probably noticed already, this is going to be an extremely short waffle. Now I know I say it every week and it usually goes on and on and on, but it is going to be a short waffle. You may have noticed a sort of lack of videos from me over the last 7 days. I did do a Friday Waffle last week and then I didn't do a Sunday live stream. The bottom line is, guys, I've had some real life stuff to basically get on top of. It's not been easy. It's been, I don't mind admitting, it's been probably one of the most stressful weeks I've had for different reasons, and because of that, when you're like that, you know, things like YouTube, making videos, etc. It's not even so much it's not important, but when you're feeling the way I did, you just don't want to do it. You know, you've got to be in a certain frame of mind to make videos, to come online and, you know, try and be happy, because you've got, at the end of the day, you know, you've got to try and, you want to try and be a happy person online. And I am, you know, generally a very, very happy person, but like I said, the last 7 days has been, I've had some stuff to kind of deal with. One of the things, now, you know, I don't know if you're on my Facebook, whatever, but we had, my daughter and myself had he's an Aki monitor. He comes from Australia. He's you would call him a lizard. Wink. We've had Wink for 7 years. You've probably heard his food, i.e. the crickets chirping in the background of some of my videos. And I noticed that, you know, for a couple of days he was turning his nose up at food. I was putting food in front of him and he just wasn't interested. And then, I can't remember what day it was, I'd been in to check him in the afternoon and he appeared okay, and then I went to the gym, and when I came back I went to check him and he'd sadly died. I took him out and I basically hosed him because he had like dirt on him, and it appears that he had a lot of dirt in his mouth. Now you need to imagine that these lizards, when they eat prey, they're eating quite big bugs. The only way they can actually get that into their mouth is by, they basically trap the prey and then they use like the ground or the walls to try and kind of push it into their mouth. And, you know, I don't know what's happened to Wink, but it looks to me like he choked to death, the poor wee guy. So that was just one of the things, and that just, you know what, it was one of these weeks, it just kind of snowballed. My work as well was, I wouldn't say I had a bad week at work, but there was a lot of things going on at work as well, so everything just, you know, wasn't good. So that's been the reason there's been really no videos. I think I put out one video last week, or this week I should say, which was one I'd pre-recorded a couple of weeks ago. As far as the Sunday stream goes, this coming Sunday, I'm going to have to play it with you. I mean, I'm going to, I usually put out a video, or not a video, I usually put out a little, a kind of little shout thing or a notification on Facebook saying that I'm going to be doing the live stream, but I'll see. I'll just have to wait and see what happens. I love doing videos, as you know. I love making YouTube content. Especially love doing the live streams, because it's like being around friends, having interaction. So if I want to do it, trust me, I will do it. If I don't do it, it's because I don't want to do it. As simple as that. So yeah, so that's kind of what's been happening with me. I'm fine, don't get wrong, I'm fine. You know, everybody has, I harp on about it all the time in life. That is life. Part of life is dealing with the good times, and it's also dealing with the bad times. And you know, you always have to remember that the bad times are always temporary. You're always going to get out of them. And conversely, the good times are temporary, because, you know, life, as Ronan Keating once said, life is indeed a roller coaster. So anyway, because of the week I've had, I've done nothing. I have to say though, a big shout out and thank you to my good mate Jason. last September, not September like last month, but September 20, I bought a Vectrex, my third Vectrex I have to say. I got it for quite a good price, but it didn't work. Now I knew that when I bought it. So I asked about and says, does anybody know anyone that can fix a Vectrex? And Jason got in touch and he says, I'm your man. So I sent the Vectrex down to Jason. He ordered the parts, got it working, and then, I mean, I don't know if Jason watches my channel. Suffice to say, there's probably been about, I don't know how many attempts to get said Vectrex sent back to me. We were let down, I reckon, twice at least, possibly 3 times by DPD. The Royal Mail royally fucked it up on countless occasions. And I mean, it got to a point where, and I mean, Jason will understand why I felt like that. I honestly did not think I was ever going to see this Vectrex again. Not because I didn't trust Jason, we were getting let down constantly. But lo and behold, last week, Jason had booked, and he even spent extra money on the insurance. It was supposed to get delivered last Monday, I think it was, and you know, I was kind of taken. I was going to believe it when I saw it, and lo and behold, it didn't turn up. And apparently, it's because it ended up going to Perth. Now, if you don't know your geography, Perth is about 30 miles north of where I am. Now, bear in mind, Jason lives kind of, excuse me if I'm getting this wrong, it's kind of Birmingham way. Maybe not that direction, but he's at least 400 miles south from here. So the Vectrex actually went past me up to Perth, but then it turned up on, was it Tuesday, Wednesday last week? So this week I should say. So yeah, massive thanks to Jason for getting it to me. It's probably the longest I've ever had to wait on something, and it's not, as I say, it wasn't Jason's fault. It was just all these carriage companies letting us down constantly. Just another indication of bad service. Now, I think I didn't mention this. I bought it was another one of these little handheld video games from the 1980s, and I bought this one. Now, these games tend to fluctuate anywhere from £30 to £300. It's mental, just for the basic machine. You know, people are asking stupid money. So this particular one, they tended to go for about 50, 60 quid, which I wasn't going to pay. So I put a bid in of £40, that was my maximum bid, and lo and behold, I won it, and I got it for 40 quid. So I paid the money, and I messaged them and says, listen, I'm actually going to London for a week, can you wait until the Saturday to post it, please? Never got a reply. I got back from London on the Friday, and then I waited until the Monday, and it hadn't turned up. So I messaged them and says, I'm now home, can you tell me, did you post it? No reply. Messaged them again a couple of days later, no reply. Messaged them again, no reply. Contacted eBay, got my money back. So then I thought, let's have a quick look in Gumtree. Lo and behold, what is up for sale? The very one that I actually bought. It's the same, I mean, it's the same photographs. So what an absolute scumbag. Now, you might be thinking, oh wait a minute, this person may have put it on Gumtree before eBay and then forgot to take it down. Well, trust me, they put that advert up after I had already bought the thing. So not was only that person going to deceive me, they were going to keep my money. I mean, they obviously thought I could have got more money for this. Now, why, if that was the case, why didn't they cancel the auction, or why didn't they make a wee excuse and message me and say, by the way, I'm really sorry, it broke, and then refund my money and then sell it in Gumtree? But no, this person kept my money, never made any contact with me, and then they're now trying to sell it in Gumtree. So I have actually messaged them in Gumtree asking, is it for sale? Not had any reply as yet. So that's kind of been my week. Suffice to say, I've had better weeks without a shadow of doubt. So anyway, listen, I did say it was going to be a short waffle, so I'm just going to crack on. I think I've got a couple of questions. excuse me. Yeah, I was somebody asked me last week about if I could write my own game, what would it be? And I think I said I would love a game where you can basically reenact parts of your life. You can go back to, a particular decade of your life, and the people that were in your life are there, the cats and animals and dogs and school and work, and that would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. Ox is saying here that would make some game to be able to reenact parts of your own life. Relive the good times and pick out the times you made a bad decision and watch your life take a different course. Yeah, that would actually be a nice little throw in there, Ox. Milthy Swinbuckle, hello again, Main Meister. A question and a follow-up question for the next waffle. Kids today have all the games we dreamed of at their fingertips. However, do you think that to appreciate them fully, you need to live through those times where arcades were a place of worship and the latest blockbuster game would take weeks upon weeks of pocket money to acquire? Absolutely, Milthy. I mean, it's the age-old phrase about, you take things for granted. My mum and dad did not have a bathroom. They had I think it was a shared bathroom, and when they were growing up, they were brought up, and mum and dad were born in 1935, so they didn't know what it was to have a toilet inside the house. Now, for me or you, chances are, the guys that are watching this video, that seems like an absolute preposterous thing. Why would you not have a toilet? It's like houses, probably, it's only been in the last maybe 70, 80 years that they've got central heating. Before that, it was coal fires. So, yeah, it's now, I mean, people like my daughter, she does not know a life without video games. She doesn't know a life without computers. She doesn't know a life without the internet, tablets, mobile phones. That's all she's ever known. So when a game comes along, they're not going to go, wow. They may say that's an amazing game, but for people like me and you, it's because we have lived through the very early days of video games. I grew up, my first console was a Pong machine. These handhelds that I've bought, they're as basic as shit, but that's what we had. I mean, this is a true story, and I've mentioned this before. When I got my Pong machine, my mum and dad gave me it was a spare TV. It was a black and white TV. I don't know what size it was. It was tiny, probably like a 13, 14 inch TV, black and white TV. One of my mates had an Atari 2600, which I never had, and I actually got a marker pen, and I drew, this is a word I actually drew Space Invaders onto the screen. And it was just so I could kind of pretend that I actually had an Atari. I wanted to see what it looked like. I thought, wow, look, that's what it would look like, having Space Invaders. If I had an Atari, that's what it would look like. I didn't have one, so I drew them on my pen. It sounds preposterous. Don't get me wrong, I managed to get it off okay. It wasn't a Sharpie, it wasn't a permanent marker. It did come off okay. But that's what it was. We had to imagine, we had to fill the gaps in, and that's a big thing about games now. Back then the graphics were as basic as anything, and so you had to fill in the blanks using your imagination. But now games are just absolutely state of the art, and so when a game comes out, don't get me wrong, I'm sure some kids will say, yeah, this is amazing, or will they say this is amazing? I don't think they will. I don't think a 15-year-old is going to load a game and go, this is amazing. They might think, yeah, the latest FIFA is really cool, but I don't think they're going to say it's amazing. You've got to have lived through the early days of when we had nothing. I mean, we saw the industry go from, obviously arcades to then the home systems. You had the TV games, then you had the Pong machines, then you got the Atari 2600, then you got the ZX81, then you got the VIC-20, then the Commodore 64, Spectrum, then the Atari ST, Amiga, then the Mega Drive, or NES, then the SNES, then the Mega Drive, then the PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and here we are, we're now at the play. I mean, I think they're now waiting on the enhanced PlayStation 5 to come out. So yeah, we've seen games evolve from, you know, squares to, I mean, I saw there was a video on YouTube, and I don't know what the game was. It's a motorbike racing game. Obviously it's going to be racing, you're not going to get a motorbike beat 'em up game. It's a motorbike racing game, and honestly I watched it, and I actually had to look at the comments to see, this is surely real life, this is actually proper footage of a guy in a motorbike, and it turns out it's actually rendered graphics on a PlayStation 5. It's mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. So yeah, I really do think you had to have lived through the early days of systems in Milky to really appreciate it. And I think people like ourselves enjoy, where the hell's the comments going? I think people like ourselves get more out of video games because we appreciate it, and that's why, I mean, tonight I fired up my one of my main cabs and I was playing Robotron, and the fact that I can play an arcade game, the arcade game, in my kitchen still blows my socks. So that was one part. As a lad, there was something special about the buzz you'd get from a new game, even when you didn't yet own said game, and perhaps this excitement added to the game itself. The way it got talked about amongst you and your friends, seeing screenshots and reviews in magazines, perhaps even catching a glimpse of it playing on a TV. For me, all those different elements added to the gaming experience. So do you think that the little buggers of today feel the same way we did when they hear of a new game, or are games just becoming another standard part of everyday life with the magic of old removed from them? I think you're right, Milfy. I mean, back then, as you say, there was the only ways we got to see a game in the really early days. Now I'm old enough to remember the really early days. This was before computer shops had games in their window. This was before the internet, obviously. This was before Zap, Crash, computer video games existed. You picked up the cassette inlay and you would read the instructions and you would look at the cover, and if you were really lucky, which virtually never happened in the early days, you would look at the screenshot and then you would make a judgment and think, right, okay, I'm going to buy that. But then, yeah, when shops started having games running in the window, that used to kind of entice you. I remember seeing Ghostbusters, School Days, Mr. Mephisto and the C64, they were all really popular games that used to run. Bugaboo the Flea was another one, the Spectrum game that used to always, because it had a kind of intro. But then, of course, magazines, you know, there was nothing more exciting when the latest issue of Crash dropped through your letterbox, and there was a gold medal, and you could not wait to buy it. You could not wait for the computer shop to get it in and buy it, because you were basically buying something that you knew was going to be good. So, and then of course you had the magazines. They started to do previews. I mean, I think the game, probably the game that I have eagerly anticipated more than any other game, and I was probably slightly let down, but looking at it now, I don't think it was. I think it's not a bad version. That game is Gauntlet. I remember seeing Zap, they started putting up little screenshots of Gauntlet, and just seeing, I thought that Gauntlet on the C64 was going to have maybe like 5 sprites, because the C64 apparently can have, is it 8 sprites, so I thought you were going to get, the maximum you're going to have is maybe 7 ghosts. And there was these screenshots coming out with like, I wouldn't say hundreds, but like tens of ghosts. And I remember me and my mate Grant, we just thought this looked amazing, and every month they would put out another couple of screenshots, and I was so excited. I was really excited, and when it did come out, I rushed out, bought it on disc, and I don't know what it was. I think I was slightly disappointed. Not so much because it didn't look good or it didn't play well. I think I realised that Gauntlet is not really that good a game. Yep, I know that is a very controversial thing to say, but I've said before, Gauntlet is the one game in main I don't play, because the whole point of Gauntlet in arcades was to try and get as far as you could, pick up food, put another 10 pence in, get to another 2 levels, pick up food, put another 10 pence in. When you've got infinite credits, when it's not costing you anything, then you can just put as much money in, so I don't play it. So yeah, I think it wasn't so much that the game was bad, it was a bad port, and probably if anything it was actually quite a good port. I think I just realised that Gauntlet does not really make a good home game. So yeah, that's probably the biggest one, I think. But yeah, just what you were saying there, Milfy. Nowadays, people don't really read reviews. I think it's more they'll instantly get a video of somebody playing a game, and they'll watch that and they'll think, oh, that looks good, but they don't get the wee snippets. It's a different industry now completely. And the third part is a further question. If what I've said lastly above is the case, could this be because of YouTube? There you go. I've just said that, and the fact that you can see a brand new whole game played out before you buy it. Yeah, that's exactly it, Milfy. That's 100% it. That's 100% why that is, I would say. So thank you, Milfy. Down the rabbit hole, Kev. Alan, have you ever been on a roller coaster, and if so, how long ago was it? The last roller coaster I was on, I think, would be 2014, and it was Orlando, Florida. Went to Universal Studios, went to Disney, whatever it was. I went on some big buck-off roller coasters. There was one, is it the Aerosmith one? I think it's an Aerosmith one. You basically shoot up at 100 miles an hour, maybe not as quick as that, but it certainly feels like it. There was a few big ones. I have to say, as much as I absolutely detest, and I will not go on them, I detest things that go round in circles. In the UK we have what's called a travelling fair, and you have this thing what's called the waltzers, and it's basically a circular thing, and it's got a little table in the middle, a little wheel, and you all sit around in a circle, and these are on what looks like a merry-go-round, and the thing actually goes around quite slow, but you always get this guy who spins you around, and anything that makes you go around in circles, I just get physically sick. So I won't go into that, but I don't mind roller coasters. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of them, but I would go on if I was getting kind of coerced into going on. I mean, my daughter does enjoy them, and when we were in Florida, I went on a lot of them with her. I've been on quite a few roller coasters in my time. I wouldn't say I'm a roller coaster fan at all. There's some that I've seen I simply would not go on. I'm one of these people, when I'm on it, I tend to hold on for the grim death, and I have my eyes shut. So basically, I'm a wuss. Secondly, have you ever been so angry at a frustrating game that you broke a controller? I can honestly say, Kev, I have never. I don't have a bad temper. I mean, I do get angry from time to time, but I can honestly say I have never ever flung anything across the room out of temper. Don't get me wrong, I've broken something and then got really angry, but I've never broken a controller. I can honestly say I've never done that. And finally, can you think of any arcade games that were actually better in a cocktail configuration, where you and your opponent were on opposite side of the screen than the usual stand-up? I don't know, Kev. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't seen that many cocktail games. I mean, cocktail games were quite popular in pubs. Now, my dad used to be a member of a rugby club in Livingston, and that was one of the places where I kind of first got to see video games. And I'm trying to think. I'm sure they had Asteroids. They had a cocktail Asteroids, and then they had a cocktail of this other game which I've mentioned countless times, and I wouldn't say nobody's been able to people have come up with ideas, is it this, is it that? And as far as I'm concerned, it's none of these. It's, imagine Scramble, the game Scramble by Konami, but you're under the water. Now there is a game that's similar to that. It's like an underwater scramble. You control a little submarine, but it's not, I don't remember it being that. I just remember you getting the little mines and things, but it might have been that game. I can't remember what it's called offhand. But these are probably the only games I ever really saw. I don't know, I mean, cocktail cabinets, they're a nice thing, you know, they're a nice thing. I mean, if I'm going to play a video game, I would always rather be standing up and playing it. I mean, my last, I bought a cocktail cabinet off Chris Wilkins. Chris, who does all the retro fusion books. Chris used to build cocktail, it was cocktail cabinets, main cabs. So I bought one off him, and it was a lovely machine. It really was. I mean, I had it for about 10 years, and I actually sold it for about £100 less than I paid for it. So it was great. I mean, I did put a new PC in it, to be fair, and I changed a few things. But yeah, I mean, cocktail cabinets are nice, but I would always prefer playing an upright one, Kev. I can't imagine there being a game that I would prefer to play sitting down, but cocktail cabinets are lovely, they really are. So cheers, Kev, thanks for that, buddy. Yeah, last week I was talking about I was foolishly scammed. I can't believe I did that. I put my bank details into a website supposedly going to give me a COVID-19 passport. I really don't know what I was thinking. My mate Dave Connolly, glad you made it through last week. As far as this scam goes, I may be wrong about this, but I think it's kind of a crude scam. I'm not sure if it would have worked. Personally speaking, I wouldn't fancy my chances of raiding your bank, even if I had your details. Well, that's the thing. I mean, the security, I have to say, security in banks nowadays is pretty damn good, but yeah, I'm still a bloody idiot. As far as the subscriber thing goes, you're certainly not the only person having that experience. Your observation about less videos bringing more subs is pure gold. Thanks for that. Yeah, well, I've got to say, Dave, the fact that I've only put one video, my subs has gone up again. So there really does seem to be a bizarre, something's going on, an algorithm of some sort. The less videos you put out, the more subs you have. Utterly bizarre. The Highlander saying, nightmare with a collision. Yeah, somebody ran in the back of my car last week. At least no one was hurt. I've just received a speeding fine, 57 miles per hour and a 50, so that's another 3 points on my licence. As for the scamming incident, I think we've all had that why did I do that moment. These things happen, just learn from them and move on. You can't do much more, you're only human. Or are we dancers? Ox is saying, I know exactly what you're coming from, be professional, sell channels, and advertising always reminds me of the bit in the Jim Carrey film The Truman Show when his wife interjects his conversation with some product place advertising and his response is like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's the same I feel about these channels when they start blurting on yeah. Anyway, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and consider supporting me on Patreon. Not that I'd do it anyway, but yeah, a lot of bollocks. Colin's saying here, traffic collisions are never fun, even when it's not your fault. Yeah, those that push their channels to extreme are usually those whose channel is their full-time job. Through either choice because they made their channel popular enough to make it viable, or as an alternative because they lost their job due to the pandemic. I wouldn't always agree with that, Colin. I think there's lots of people who are neither full-time YouTubers, but they still just keep saying please hit that subscribe button. So I mean, don't get me wrong, the big professional ones do that all the time because it's their job, but there's lots of amateur videos or channels that do the same, and that just makes me go to something else. Now, I have no issue with those that make a quick mention of a sponsor at the start, then do the advert at the end, which I do still watch out of courtesy, but those that push this crap at the start or halfway through are annoying. I pay for premium, which gets rid of YouTube ads while supporting content creators, so I don't really want to have ads forced to me by those creators in this way. I understand why they think they need to do it, but there are better ways, not just our hobby. For those mini games, they use vacuum fluorescent displays, VFD. Yeah, I call them LCDs, but yeah, there you go, it's an VFD. I thought that was a thing you go to your doctor to get cream for. I'm keeping all my existing stuff, Commodore 64, Amiga, Pi, this 64, etc., even though I have the Mister. It's just one piece of kit I own, even though it's the most used. Now for the question, we all know it's impossible, but in a fantasy world where you could choose a superpower, which superpower would you choose? I've had that one before. I'd love to be able to fly, fly extremely fast. I don't know, I think having the ability to be able to reverse time by, maybe an hour, that would be, whilst it wouldn't be the obvious one, it would be quite handy. Can you imagine the number of times things have happened, good or bad, and you just think, I wish if I could just have not done that, or I could have stopped that or prevented that. Yeah, it would make life a lot simpler. So I think that having the ability to be able to just reverse time by, up to an hour would be quite a good one. Anyway, listen, that's all the questions. So I'm gonna get going. So like I says, guys, thanks for being understanding. I've just had a lot of stuff to kind of deal with on a personal level the last 7 days. It's not been easy, but I'll get through it. I will continue to put out videos as and when. As far as the Sunday stream, I'll let you know. What I'll do is, if I am going to do it, I will put out a video on, not a video, I will put out a little message on, what do you call it, on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, if I'm not on at 7 o'clock, you'll know I'm not doing the thing, but all going well, I will be along on Sunday, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, listen guys, I'm going to get going, make myself a cup of tea. Thanks as always to all the support. Special big thanks to everybody that's just going to join the channel. I hope you enjoy it. That is a nice place to hang out with lots of nice people as well. And finally guys, take it easy and have a great weekend. As always, thank you very, very much for watching.